Recording, sharing the screen. Here we go. All right. So you don't have to write anything down today. And if you want to refer to this video as a reminder of what you need to do to finish your plate, this video is going to be posted on Schoology as soon as I can get it up there today. So today is the day your project is due, your plate project. And so that's primarily what I'm going to talk about today, how to finish it, how to turn it in, because some of you have never turned stuff in virtually before, and some of the expectations that go along with that. So first of all, your finishing steps for today. Yesterday, we put a foot on your plate, and you should have left your bag slightly open from yesterday. So really the stage that your plate should be in today is dry leather hard. Like, you should pick it up and there should be no stickiness, no floppiness. It should be pretty firm, but it should still be cool to the touch. If it's cool to the touch, that indicates that there's still water in your clay. And that's good because that means that there's a degree of flexibility that's still there. It's slight, but it's still there. And that's important. We don't want it bone dry yet, because if it's bone dry, it's going to be incredibly fragile. So if you open up your bag today and you find that your pot is bone dry, it's not the end of the world, especially if you're done with your project. But if it's bone dry, like if it's a lighter white color and if it's not very cold, and if it doesn't feel like it's very yielding at all, like not much flexibility, you got to be so careful with it. Like, handle it as though it's a tiny baby and don't break your baby, please. So check what stage your clay is in. If you have little spurs that are on your designs from where you might have drawn the design in, take your fingertip and try and brush them away. Another thing you can do is you can take a slightly damp sponge and try and brush them away and kind of half smooth them away with your slightly damp sponge. You could also take the plastic card that I told you to find, and you can try and kind of dislodge them and scrape them off lightly that way. And if your pot is bone dry, you could even take the sandpaper that I gave you and try and sand some of those more the boogery things, the spurs that are sticking out. But the sandpaper really only works on bone dry clay. And again, remember, if your pot is bone dry, use extreme caution. So get rid of those little spurs. That's the next step. Then this is really, really important because the lip is kind of a key part of your plate. And if it looks terrible, then that just sets a bad tone for the whole plate. So take your sponge and just kind of roll it over the lip. So it's kind of a U shape, and just really go over that lip several times. Make sure there's no sharpness there, no unevenness there. Really take a lot of time on that lip to make sure it looks good. Also make sure on the bottom where you join that foot that there's no random rogue score marks that are sticking out on either side of your foot. Take your fingernail and blend those away. Take your sponge and blend those away. Take a small paintbrush and blend those away. I don't want to see those random score marks that should have been eliminated. And then finally, make sure that your initials or your signature and your hour number are carved on the bottom. And probably when you've done that, you'll have roughed up some little spurs. So then just make sure that those are brushed away as well, because those spurs get sharp after they're fired. And even if you don't plan on firing this project, you still need to make it as though you were going to fire it. That's one of the things I'll be grading you on. So, so those are things I want you to check up on today and make sure that you finished before you turn your project in. So just to be totally transparent with you, what I'm looking for when you turn your project in today, I'm going to list them off for you. And if you are ticking these things off in your mind and thinking about whether you've done them or not, if there's things that I say that you haven't done, it's not too late to do them. So please don't say to yourself, oh, well, I didn't do that. Oh, well. No, don't say that. Do it. Do the thing that I'm telling you to do so that you get the most amount of points on this. So first thing I'm grading you on, the plate has a sauce lip. That's that little raised edge that goes around your plate that is slightly higher than the center of the plate. So as I look at your plate, you're going to record a video, and as I look at it, I want to see that that sauce lip comes up to the same level all the way around and is higher than the center. Next, the sauce lip is level all the way around. So when I look at it from the side, I should see that that sauce lip is the same height all the way around. The slab is smooth in all non-decorated areas. So if you have any negative space, areas where there's no design, just make sure those areas are smoothed really well. The decorated areas are neat and show symmetrical and asymmetrical balance, or asymmetrical balance. So when I look at your design, I should see that you thought about your balance there. And there also should be a balance of at least 50% of your design coming from stamping. Stamping your popsicle stick or other found objects, at least 50% of your design needs to come from that. That's not written here, but it's part of what I'm looking for. Next, the lip is consistent thickness all the way around the plate. So I'm looking from the side view. I want to see that this edge is the same thickness all the way around. If not, take that plastic card and just lightly scrape away those areas that might be kind of thicker. If you have areas that are extremely thin right now, that might be a harder thing to fix if your clay is dry, but you could theoretically patch in a little bit of clay to thicken your lip and then just smooth it with a sponge so I can't even tell that that's what you did. Next, a shallow foot. That means it's a not very high or tall foot. A shallow foot is securely joined, smoothed, and balanced. So that's what we did yesterday. The bottom shows your initials or your signature and your hour number. You're going to be showing me the bottom of your plate so I can verify that you did that. All spurs have been cleaned up when the clay was dry enough to do so. If you have a hair dryer, that's a great trick for drying off your spurs to the point where you can brush them away because they'll dry first. They'll dry before anything else. So if you have a hair dryer and you have a bunch of spurs, but they're not brushing away, hair dry it a little bit and then just take your fingertip and just bloop, 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 get them out of there. Final thing I'm grading you on, the video, which I'll talk about in a second, the video was filmed correctly and shows all the parts of your plate for around 10 seconds or more. So I should see each side of your plate for around 10 seconds. I should see the top part of your plate for about 10 seconds. And I should see the bottom part of your plate for about 10 seconds. And as you're filming that video, the camera is going to be stationary. So it's not the camera that's moving, it's the plate as you turn it. And also you need to do it in good lighting. If it's in low lighting or if you're really far away from your camera, I'm not going to be able to see things and I'm not going to be able to give you a good grade because I'm not going to be able to see the things that you did on your plate. So make sure your lighting is good, your camera is stationary, whether it's your Chromebook or your phone, I don't care. And then make sure that you are close enough to the screen so I can actually see things. Okay, so you have two areas where your grade comes from today with this plate project. The video that I just mentioned is worth 50 points. That's really the project that I'm grading you on. And I should say it's up to 50 points because if you didn't do some of those criteria that I listed earlier, you won't get a full 50 points. You might get 2 points off for an uneven lip and 3 points off for not having any stamping on your work or whatever. I'll just make that up. But the most you could get if everything is perfect on your video is 50 points. And again, just a reminder, your video, the camera needs to be stationary. You turn the pot, please. Each side needs to be shown for around 10 seconds, including the top and the bottom. The length of the video needs to be at least 30 seconds. So I've learned over time that sometimes kids just want to go bloop, 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 and show me their pot and their video is done in 10 seconds. And I can't take in what I'm seeing with my old person eyes if you're just rushing through your video. So your video needs to be at least 30 seconds. Take your time, be slow as you're showing me each side. Then the second grade that you're going to get today for this project is an artist's statement. And I have given you a prompt, and I'll show you where that prompt is in a moment. And you're basically going to take that prompt that I gave you, and you're just going to type answers to the questions that I gave you, but you're going to do it in paragraph form. So you're going to tell me in this paragraph, if you had to title this piece, what would the title be and why? What is this piece going to be used for, or what could it be used for? You be creative. Describe the designs that you made and how you made them. Tell me what parts of the project went well and which parts did you struggle with. And then finally, tell me, do you plan to bring this project in to fire it, or will you recycle it? And you don't hurt my feelings if you are wanting to recycle it. I just am trying to get a ballpark idea of how many people are going to be bringing projects in to fire in the future. So let me show you a little bit more now about the video and then a little bit more about this artist's statement. So this is how your 360-degree video should look. So first I'm showing kind of like a top/side view. I elevated my plate on my slip container, so it was a little higher up so I could see the edge a little bit better. And then I'm just turning it really slowly so I can see all the edges. Now I'm gonna hold it up and show the top view for about 10 seconds. Then I'm gonna hold it up and show the bottom view for about 10 seconds. And that's it. Okay, so that's what your video should look like. Then the artist statement, I'm going to show you where to go here to find the prompt. To create the artist statement, go to day 5 assignment, stamped plate, artist statement. Copy and paste the text that I've given you as a prompt. Paste the prompt into a Word document, whichever one you choose, and then use that as your guide as you're writing your artist statement. So the first thing you're going to write about is the title of the piece and why it is that title. The title of my stamped plate is Cherry Blossom Delight, because it has cherry blossoms on it, and I will eat sushi off of this plate, and that will be delightful. What this piece would be used for, I just answered that, so I don't need to do that one. Describe the designs you made and how you made them. I made these designs by tracing a branch that I printed off the web, then stamped the blossoms with a popsicle stick, the tool that I made, as well as a toothpick and pen. What parts of the project went well and which parts would you do over if you could? I like how most of the blossoms turned out, but some of them are messy and should probably be redone. Do you plan to bring this project in to fire it, or will you recycle it? I will fire this project and bring it in sometime next week. That's it. So then you can delete the prompt. My formatting is weird here. There we go. And I better sign it by Trisha Schmidt. Okay, so then this document would be uploaded to the artist's statement assignment. That's it. Okay, so those are the two things you're doing today in theory. If you're done with your plate, you're recording your video and uploading it, you're typing your artist statement and uploading it by 10 p.m. tonight. Now, a quick note about if you want to fire this project. First of all, please keep it leather hard because it'll transport better if it's leather hard. If you were to accidentally break it on the way here or dent it or bump it or damage it in some way, it could still be repairable if it's leather hard. So even if you're 100% done with the project, I always want you to keep it leather hard if you're going to bring it in. If you're not going to bring it in, make sure that I've graded it first before you destroy it. And then just throw it in a separate bag that you're starting for recycled clay. And all that dry recycled projects that you're not going to fire, you're going to bring those back at the end of the trimester so I can recycle them. Then if you are going to keep it, put your project in a box wrapped in a bunch of plastic bags as cushioning. That'll help keep it leather hard, and it will also cushion it from any bumps or bangs. If you're able, please include $1 in the box so that that will count as your firing fee to recoup the cost of the clay and then the glaze that you'll end up using. So just put $1 somewhere hidden in the box if you're able to. There are people from last trimester that paid extra from their projects being fired. And so I do have a small fund to cover the cost of some projects from this trimester being fired. So if it's not in the cards for you to donate $1, it's fine. You can still get your work fired. Then you're going to bring that box with your project in it to school. Make sure you write your name and ceramics B on the box. And then you're going to drop it off during school hours. I'm going to take you on a little field trip right now. You're going to drop it off during school hours. I might be here. I might not be here. If I'm here, you can come in and bring it into the room. If I'm not here, there's a cart that I've left out in the hall right here. I can't see myself right now, so I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but there's a cart and there's a yellow sign above it that says to leave your box with your project in it on that cart. So that's a way you can drop it off during school hours, even if I'm not here. And then I will take everything off that cart when I'm here. And when your project is dry enough, I will fire it for you. And I'll just keep your box until your project is done being glazed, and then you can take it home in the same box. All right, so then, how glazing will happen is when I have a bunch of projects that have been bisque fired, I'll let everybody know, I'll let the class know, and you can come back on a day when I'm here in the afternoon and you can glaze. So that's how that'll work. All right, I think that's the last one. Yep, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna see what questions you have. That was a lot of information.